Hey, welcome everybody to Exploring Telepathy, our Zoom call for what's today, December 20th, 2025, last call of the year. Talk a bit about where we've come to telepathically in our practices or exploration, our interests, and then maybe where we're headed in 2026. I'm Kevin Young. For you guys who don't know me, my wife Suzanne is joining us here. I'm an intuitive coach. I help people in this realm find their connections as I'm finding mine more and more deeply. I'm one of the admins in the Autism Telepathy Conversations community that this is a part of. And we are almost at 15,000 members. It's like 14.9 and change. So we'll have a little celebration of some sort when we hit 15,000. It's amazing. I've told people many times I joined the group in January of this year after hearing the telepathy tapes, and then about 3, 4 weeks later, I found this group, and suddenly I became an admin, and we had like 4,400 members at that time. And so now we're almost 15,000. Gives you an idea of the expansiveness of this message as it's becoming worldwide. Thanks in part to the telepathy tapes and Kai Dickens pushing that envelope and getting in front of lots of people, but also in part to you guys. Just by being interested in it and stepping into your own journeys and your own connections, you become not only energetically the vibration of the higher consciousness, which is where humanity is expanding to, but then you also become a demonstration to those who are a little bit further behind in their expansion and their evolution that it can be done and how it can be done and how life is supposed to be better and more vibrationally in tune and easier and more connected. That's to me one of the biggest messages that we're getting here. It's this separation energy that we've come to over a couple thousand years and now starting to rise back up into the broader consciousness that we're all a singular part of, individual expressions, but one consciousness. So be proud of your courage in stepping into this new vibrational realm and know that you're not alone. You're supported by many people. And this is the right path. If it feels good, this is the place to be. Not just this call, but in general on this path. So what we do here on this call, basically we just explore ideas around telepathy. We'll do a little practice session at the end just to see what happens. I'm not a open telepath, so I'm exploring as well. I'm a conscious channel, so I connect to the broader consciousness, non-physical realm. But I'm also here to learn from you guys and to share techniques and tips that are working for you in terms of what you are doing to open up your channel. Telepathy just being one specific channel, individual to individual, of a broader connection, broader consciousness realm that we're all a part of. So we're not here to prove anything. You got to prove that to yourself. We're just here to explore it in an open and kind and practical conversation around what works for us. So no questions off limits. Just try to keep concentrated around the telepathic and expansive journeys, and we'll just have a good time. So Melissa is going to open us with a meditation here to get us more vibrationally in tune with each other and kind of move from individual to collective, beautiful high energy consciousness. So there's nothing that you really need to do. So just relax and settle in and follow her words and see where we go. And then after that, we'll pop into our conversations. We go with the flow here. There's not typically too much on the agenda. I had something come to me earlier. I was mentioning before we started the recording that might be fun to talk about in terms of something that we can use telepathy for that maybe is not on many people's radar, but I believe is coming soon. That might be helpful. So if we have time, we can chat about that. So I think that's about all I got to say. Melissa, would you like to take us to the next level?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. How are you all? I am in the frozen tundra too with Kevin and Suzanne, and it might be 38 today, so we're having a warm up. I said, see, Annalise got her warm sweater on too, and Peter, so I'm not sure where everyone else is at, but yeah, let's get into a little calmness and just togetherness, and see where our minds go together and our bodies and our souls, and go from there. I feel this beautiful love in this group today. These warm, beautiful souls here, all coming together for the same purpose. Settle in and let's go on a little journey together. Take a deep breath in. Just release it when it feels right. One more time. Letting the breath settle into your nervous system. Letting your body arrive right here and now. Just feel where your body may feel supported right now. Mother Earth is here. Nature, the animals, the children. Just know that you are here in a safe space. Now allow your awareness just to widen. Find a place in nature, a forest, snow maybe, the water, whatever feels right to you, to go to this beautiful space. It's your sacred space. It's for you. And when you arrive here, just begin to notice the air around you. Maybe there's a warm breeze blowing on your face. Or you hear the trees rustling in the wind. Or maybe you hear the sound of animals in the distance. Feel the warmth of the light, the sun touching your body. Your heart. Feel that warmth enter your whole body. It's warming and awakening. Your mind, body, and soul. Mother Earth is here, supporting and grounding us. Maybe you hear water running nearby, a quiet stream flowing. Maybe you hear a quiet rustling in the leaves, or a bird chirping just to say hello, to let you know we are all one in all the presence that surrounds us. They don't need anything from you, just to know you're here and you're present. Just notice how your nervous system feels when you're surrounded by all this beautiful life and nature that isn't asking anything from you, just to be here in this moment. No expectations, nothing to do or perform, just you being here. Let your nervous system continue to soften into this space. Feeling your breath just naturally flowing. Your body truly knows how to unwind if we let it. And as you unwind, even something deeper begins to show up. Just allowing. There's no effort. You are all part of this living, beautiful space with the wind and the sun and Mother Earth, all the animals and the frequency of the water. We are all here. We're all connected. We're all communicating without words. Feel where this lights up in your body. We don't have to try and connect. We already are connected. See what your body is feeling and sensing and receiving right now, here in this beautiful space. This is a place you can return to anytime. Allow your body to remember this feeling and this place. It's yours to come to anytime. Now just gently bring your awareness back to yourself, to your breath, to your body. You don't ever have to leave this place. You're always going to carry it within you. Take one slow, deep breath and release it. And when you're ready, begin to open your eyes and bring this awareness and this feeling with you into our session.
Very peaceful. I think that's the deepest meditation you've led so far, Melissa.
It was all me.
Yeah, I could feel there's a smoothness and a clarity and a continuity that's really when you tap in like that, it just flows like the river that I was sitting next to.
Thank you. I'm glad you felt that.
Yeah.
I'm working on that myself, like bringing in more of the feeling to the, I know everybody has their own feeling, I guess bringing more of the visuals. So I guess we're all in the story kind of together, but in our own separate place. But
Yeah.
kind of feeling that same joy or that love together, that togetherness is, I guess, what I'm aiming to bring us that.
Well, that's what your meditations are doing. You're intentionally setting that high vibration, and then you get the words that we need to hear. That's the beauty of these groups, and somebody like you who can channel so readily is that you're tuning in. When I do guided meditations, what I've had to practice, just like we're all practicing, getting to the point where I just let go and let the words come through, and then I know they're words that other people also need to hear to bring us up to the vibration. So
It's
thank you.
you're welcome, and it's still fear of mine a little bit there, just to let it flow as naturally without having any sort of guidance there. And so this morning I was a little nervous and a little of that tenseness in me, and I could feel it. And then it was just like it's excitement and fear more than it's excite. It just that fear driven.
Yeah.
It's like
So just for
okay,
other people's, sorry to interrupt, for other people's awareness, you often will have a script that helps you through, right?
mm-hmm,
Yeah. And so this was the first time you completely let go of the script.
mm-hmm.
What I'm sensing. Yeah. So congratulations. See, that's demonstrating everything that we're talking about on this call. It's about letting go of our fears and surrendering to the flow that wants to come through. And that's where telepathy happens. That's where higher spiritual guidance comes from.
And I know me and you talk about this a lot. I feel like being autistic myself, knowing where my words come from, or
Mm.
how that I don't know if it's a fear, but I feel like sometimes I just don't feel like they're coming out or how they're, and I'm sure it's just that fear of that child of being yelled at, back in the day. And so you're just like, I'll just stay silent instead of allowing yourself to be me, and what comes out no matter if it makes sense or not.
Not our
um,
problem.
and when you're saying it, you're not knowing if it makes sense in a way either, because you're not backtracking in your head looking over going, what did I say before that, to make sure it's not the same thing you're saying
Yeah.
again. And so it's just, again, the trust and belief in yourself, and taking the next step forward. And it's been in my brain, like, I'm like, you're doing this today. I don't care what happens. You're not going to die. So, and you're with all beautiful souls. And so it's nobody's sitting there going, oh my gosh, Melissa might have said that word twice. No, it's me doing it again, which I've talked about, letting myself off the hook. And the more I've let myself off the hook from a week ago, um, just to say that was one of my epiphanies I had on vacation. Um, I talk about it and we talk about it, and all of us do, and know that we're that hardest on ourselves. But until you almost just have that like beam of light hit you, or a hammer in the head, or whatever you want to call it, like it was just that day, I was just like, and it doesn't mean I still don't at times, and it's a work always in progress, but
Work in
it's just like
progress.
it's been a different week coming home from vacation, or in just life of like staying in this place versus going back into that wheel of condemn and just beating myself up all the time. And I'm just.
Yeah, and you're doing it. So yay, we're all here to celebrate and support that.
Thank you.
That's something your guides told me in one of our recent sessions. Melissa channels from me. we were kind of we help each other out here regularly, and they said something similar in our last session about me doing it very similar. It's time to even go deeper and start just trusting whatever I feel that comes to me and express it in the way that whatever flows out of me, and just exactly what you just said, because I still do that too sometimes. And you second guess yourself, and then, oh, did I say the wrong thing? And are they, no, that's my childhood. That was dad getting mad at me because he couldn't regulate himself, and so he barfed it on me. And so no, not no more. Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, I'm going to say what comes to me, and if I don't feel good, I'm not going to say anything until I can get back into alignment, and then I'm going to trust. And like you say, this is just always a work in progress for all of us. You'll never be done with it because we're always evolving to another level, but we can make it a lot easier. Hmm. See, Scott says, at my hotspot so I can talk. Okay, well, good, Scott. You can join in the conversation here. And if there's any breakup, for any of us, if you're in a tenuous vibrational place energetically in the environment, and you can always turn your video off, which reduces the bandwidth requirements. Sometimes then we can hear your voice if you're in a place where there's not much connection. So I'm curious if anybody else had. Oh, I see, Justine, you already got your hand up. Okay, go ahead. What was your experience? Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thanks. I'm on my phone. It's slower. Thank you to you, Kevin. Thank you for this group. Thank you, Melissa, for this meditation. The flow was amazing. It came from your heart, your best intention. We could feel it. I feel that even if you had repeated yourself or whatever, maybe it just meant some of us needed to hear it again and again, or
Yes.
it was a flow. And that you were able to trust in your words, or I don't know. It was just great. I raised my hand because I've done other guided meditations in my life, but never have I experienced two things that I don't know how to explain. So I'm going to talk about it without judgment of what happened. But as we started, I saw this like yellowish, goldish, I don't know, there's like a light or energy that came towards me with curiosity. Curiosity, maybe because I'm new, maybe it's an energetic thing. I don't understand it. And all I could say was, hi. And afterwards, Melissa, towards the end, when you said it was a place that we could come back to, that is something I know deeply. But this time, I had my English is not perfect, a surge, like a big boom of frisson, goosebumps. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
From head to toe, my whole body was like tingling. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. It's an experience to be lived, and I don't know if I have to question it or not. I'm not sure. But I wanted to share that because it's something that feels important and that I'm grateful for, because I'm sure it has a reason, significance, and it's something that is very positive.
Yeah. You
And
felt that in your body.
oh, immediately, like the phrase was said, and oh, it started again in my legs, but it was the whole body, very clear. Oh, my arms now. Ooh, it was like Frosty the Snowman coming inside, but in positive bubbles. And oh, my hair, even my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, what a feeling.
Well, so can I share something on that?
Please.
So I work with people who move into a channeling state, which is just raising vibration. That's what we're doing here. And you're right on top of an expansion of your own vibration. And so the mechanics are really simple. Vibration, in other words, consciousness, when we let go of something and step into something, immediately shifts vibration. It's just like it's instantaneous because there's no time in the non-physical side of us. But the body is down here then when we do that gap. And so as the body's feeling this new calling of energy, you get the rush through the body that it's never felt that much energy before. So that's your indication that you've ascended or expanded to another level that you haven't been to before.
Ah,
And so what the advice I've gotten on is just milk that energy. Just sit in it,
mm,
and it'll eventually subside as your body acclimates to the new vibrational energy. But
wow.
I always see that as a really good sign. So
Oh, I
congratulate
know it is.
yourself for
Yes.
letting go and allowing that to happen, right,
I
Justine?
feel my heart is, because usually when I'm in a telepathic mode, my heart is extremely active. And
Mhm.
now that you've said so, I realize my heart is active in a ah, denser way. Usually it's very ethereal, like whoosh. But there's this density here that I've never felt before. So yes, I may be experiencing something new
Well, you may
in
have brought
this group.
yeah, your consciousness maybe now a lot of us kind of spend our time up here. We're not really fully present in the body at the same time. And the body, when grounded to the earth, vibrationally speaking, is when we get full flow. I mean, we're here to
Mm,
experience the body as a vibrational being. And a lot of
mm,
us, like me, spend our time in our head a lot. And so you don't get the full effect. And so you're kind of doing both.
yeah,
So, yay!
yeah.
Again, congratulations, Justine. Thanks for sharing that. You're right. It was really important. At least I felt it. I can feel the
Thank
energy
you.
now myself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for this group. It's the collective. I feel it. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for co-creating it. You're part
Mm.
of this. Scott, I see you have joined us in the physical here.
Not to be cliche, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, much better than before.
Yeah.
What
I
was your
I
experience? Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I'm gonna only talk about the meditative part right now, and if time allows, we'll get into the other topic. But
Okay.
Melissa will completely understand this because she did a card. Anybody who saw it, the 1, 2, 3 card draw the other day, and I drew deer. And what was very interesting about that is even prior to that, I would look over and there was like an 8 point buck just running beside me as I was driving.
Wow.
Everywhere I turned around, there were deer. And so Melissa had some advice on that. Well, anyway, to this meditation, even right before Melissa, you said think about animals if that's where you go to. I was seeing flashes of animals and then a deer walking right beside me. And so me and the deer, I looked over and there were a couple other deer that started to come, but it was just this one deer. And we walked and we walked and I looked over and it just was so peaceful walking beside me. So we walked down to a river and I'm sorry, I'm gonna cry. As we stood there by the river, the deer just went right down on its legs and just laid right down in just absolute peace and just the feeling of it just connected to me and being there with me. And so I knelt down on my knees next to the deer and we just sat there watching the water. When about a dozen of my ancestors walked up on the other side of the river and I could see both sets of grandparents and my mom and dad, and some that I'm not sure who they were. And they were just there for solidarity. They didn't have any words of advice. They were just there. And it was off the charts. I mean, I can't even begin to explain.
Wow.
Um, and so then, oh, those of you who may have followed some of Owen's waterworks, then I did something that Owen does, and I don't know why. I don't know if I wanted to see what I would feel. But Owen will take both his hands and put him down in the water, and he's doing energy work with the water. And so I went over to the edge of the water and I put both hands down, and I could sense the entire history of the planet.
Wow.
And I had to take my hands out. It was too much. It was too much information. And that was it, pretty much it. At that point, my eyes were burning from crying so much, and I came out of it, and I had to wipe my eyes off. And then and then so while I was out of that vision, remote viewing, whatever, um, I settled into about 8 minutes in, because I had a recording going, about 8 minutes in, I settled into group coherence. And it's something that Pat, who was on here, and Tara, who's not on here because she's traveling, are part of this meditative team that I want to talk about. And we're starting to develop the ability to sense when we're connected to everybody. And I felt every one of us on this call in one collective group, all group consciousness. I was connected to it for the last minute or so, and then we were done. So that was it, just a little thing.
Yeah,
Just
nothing
wanted to share.
important. My God, what? That's the deepest I've ever heard you go, Scott. That's incredible.
I
So
could feel
what?
that deer with you too. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I had
No,
like
please
total
do.
body chills when I was crying because I could just feel it. I could feel the collective us when I started too, like as a whole, like too, like that whole feeling of all of us. We were just
Yeah,
one.
right. And it's something I'm starting to recognize. And I told our team just yesterday, I said, everybody, I said, we're finding it in our data to prove that we're all connected. I said, and we all know it because afterwards we'll discuss. And there's this feeling that we're recognizing this pattern. And now I've told everybody, like muscle memory, only spirit memory, memorize that pattern. Because what we're doing in our group is we're finding is that we're what I call local coherence, and then we'll merge in the group, but then we'll pull out and we'll go back. We can't seem to sink into it and stay in it for long periods, and that's what we're trying to work on, is how to do that.
So
Anyway,
essentially, it's a sort of a group telepathy kind of thing, right? Would you say, like, kind of your own hill, the hill thing?
so telepathy is a part of it, and we've succeeded in, and I'll get into this later because this is a little bit in depth, and I do want to share it if time allows. But the answer is yes. When we found out that and recognized we were linked, immediately Pat said, "Let's do a telepathy experiment." And then I'll save that for when we have time because it was spectacular. You can't make up what happened. But if time allows, because I'm going to let other people speak, and I'm going to lower my hand. Thank you,
Thanks so
Melissa.
much,
That was
Scott.
great. Yeah.
That was incredible. It's always inspiring too when somebody like Scott or any of you have one of these deep experiences. This helps me to know that I can go even deeper, that I can let go a little bit more, and I can connect a little bit more because I'm on the same journey as all of you guys. So I appreciate it, everybody's sharing. Nefreet, what was your experience? What would you like to share? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. Um, so can I give a little bit of background?
Sure.
Um, well, for one, I wanted to say that Melissa, when you said we're all here communicating without words, I just felt this kind of surge of emotions. I got all like teary and I had tears in my eyes because I I just felt I'm at home. Like I'm with people who just get it and I'm here connected. And I felt very lonely up until now. And I just, at the end, I felt like I just want to kind of throw my arms around everybody and just give everybody this huge hug. And with all this love. And so, a little bit of background. My entire life, I felt like an alien. I felt out of place. I felt broken. Um, and it was a life of just all sorts of challenges. And at the age of 40, I went through this life transformative journey. I almost died from an eating disorder that I used as a coping mechanism my entire life. And I just was ready to leave because I just felt like I didn't belong here. I felt like I'm playing being a human being. I felt like I was just on stage all the time and learning how to be human being, but I'm not. And it's a very strange feeling. I was trying to explain it to my husband my entire life. You can't, like, how is a human being supposed to feel like? I don't know, but I didn't feel like one. And then I was diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum, and that kind of explained everything to me. It explained my entire life. It was like all of a sudden subtitles I saw my entire life, but with subtitles on. And I had to go to treatment for a year to recover. But really, what saved my life was that diagnosis, because it kind of explained that nothing was wrong with me. I was just wired differently. And throughout this whole journey of recovery, I also had immense, just a lot of spiritual experiences my entire life. And I felt very, very lonely. I felt like I never had my crew. And I always felt the whole, the all, the energies of, the animals and the water and the universe. Everything was kind of, the death and the laughter and the joy and the rot, and everything was kind of this one big thing that I always felt that I was connecting to, but really couldn't put into words. I could never really understand human beings. I never really felt in my body. But anyways, throughout this recovery journey, I taught myself I knew that I wanted to be love. I didn't know what that meant, but I wanted to be love. And I taught myself through meditation to kind of bring up this love feeling inside of me and release any external and stay in this subjective feeling. I kind of studied it. What does it do to me internally? All the processes, the mental, spiritual, physical processes. And I learned to kind of snapshot that feeling. And I practiced just kind of bringing it up inside of me without anything external. And the more I practiced it, the more I started feeling this tinglies. I call it tinglies on the top of my head. And I wanted to start just kind of extending this feeling to the world. And I would start intuitively extending it out to the drivers, across the streets, and to strangers, and to the trees and the buildings. And the more I extended that love, the more I felt like I was love. And I was like, that's what it was. That's what I wanted to be. And this whole process, it was 6 years ago, this, near death, I almost really did exit through this journey that I had. But I knew that I went through this journey so that I can help other people. And I knew that I wanted to teach. I was a teacher, that I wanted to teach others how to connect to love. And that was way before any of that. This is all new to me. And I opened the love group, and I started really teaching anybody kind of intuitively. I knew that everybody has that inside of them. Everybody has that source inside of them, and we're all connected. And I felt like I was connecting to this larger source. And all I'm here to do is to remind people how to connect to that internal source and to the all. And so I started writing about it, all sorts of mediums. I do music, I'm a musician, I'm a writer, I do all sorts of things. But I felt very lonely. I felt like I want to help humanity kind of, raise the vibration. My job is to be love, to be light, to remind people. But I felt very lonely and devastatingly lonely. And my friends were the trees and the insects, and this is where I felt at home, because human beings always felt I couldn't really understand. They're one day they're like this, the other day they're like that, and they say one thing and they act differently. And I felt things, and I felt the suffering and the pain of everything, and I just wanted to kind of help without really crumbling under it, kind of holding it all. The sadness and the loneliness, like I said, but the joy and everything to kind of be a container to that. Anywho, so then I'm doing podcast talks, and to kind of, I don't know sometimes how I know things, I just do. And I know that I'm kind of connecting to the collective, and I've always been a channeler through my music, through my writing, I just have a knowledge that I don't know how I know it, I just do. And so I started doing these talks on podcasts, and I call it the Way of Love group, for people to come together and unity and peace and learn and share. So I was doing this podcast, and a spiritual podcast, and the woman that was interviewing me, she said, by the way, there's this podcast that you should listen to, the Telepathy tapes. And I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. And I went and I listened to the Telepathy tapes, and my mind was like, that's it. That's it. There are people out there. I need to find them because these are this. I need to find my crew because I always felt like I'm just alone in this mission. I want to teach love, but here there's all these people their mission is the same as mine. And
Yes.
I was like, I gotta find these people. I gotta find how to learn from them, how to connect, how to share, how to teach and learn, and all this kind of like back and forth. And I was so excited, and somehow I listened to the talks, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have the same mission. We have the same, this love, that calling to teach love. We all have different gifts. We all have different ways to do it. And so, 2 weeks ago, I stumbled on. I don't know how it came up on my calendar, but it was a Zoom about telepathy, music, dreams, autism. I was like, yes, check mark all these. I don't know where it came from,
Oh,
but I
Caroline's
connected
event.
to it. And yep. Caroline was leading it, and I was like, oh, I don't know how, but I have to learn more. I have to talk to these people. And so all of a sudden, all these doors opened, and I met Scott and Tara and Owen. And I was like, I feel like something big is happening. I always said that I feel that humanity, there's no other way. Nothing worked. Wars don't work. None of that works. This is the way. There's the only one way, and that's the way of love. And I know people are there's a lot of things that shook the world. There's, 2 years war in Israel, and there's wars all over the world, but I feel like that's evolution. That's a revolution. There's a purpose to that. And I felt like everything is on a way to kind of find its way to that, to love. And I was like, I want to learn how to, I want to learn. I mean, I'm very intuitive. I have messages from trees, and I'm very intuitive that way. But I felt like I want to teach, I want to learn how to telepathy, to do a mind to mind communication. To me, it's not
Yeah.
telepathy, it's just merging of consciousness. But to teach other people, because I know that once you do feel, you're enabling other people, you're bringing them into that experience, teaching them how to feel what other people are feeling, and the trees and the insects in the hall, violence is going to drop, hatred's going to drop. And I'm like, I want to learn and be a part of it. So here's where I am, and here's how I came here. And so I'm like, yes, that's when you said, Melissa, when you said, we're communicating without words. I'm like, I'm here. I'm like, let's I'm here to learn, and I'm excited,
And
and
teach.
share. And yes, yeah, we're all here. We're all teachers. We're all kind of
Yeah.
have this one goal, and so yeah, thank you for that
Oh,
space.
so glad you're here, Nafreet. You've articulated what I think a lot of us in the community feel, and I'm not on the spectrum, and yet I feel very connected to people like you who are, and like Melissa, for instance. And I can't even explain why that is, but I feel the same calling that you do from my neurotypical side. My suffering, as they say, pain can lead to your passion and purpose when you're ready, when you do the healing work. And you've clearly done the healing work. I'm in the process myself. And that's when we become authentic in the message that we're ready to deliver to the world because we've been there. Now we're ready to share it from the broader perspective, calling us through love. And your energy is like undeniable. Like I feel the massive energies of the universe conspiring to support you in the expansion of your message. And isn't it wonderful to know? I've had to go through this myself, that we don't need to know where we're going. All we need to do is show up in love in the moment and follow the next exciting step, like being on this call, for instance. So I just wanted to say thank you for being here and adding to this call. It's beautiful energy. Oh my goodness. We say it every week. Suzanne and I joke, every other time. It's like, oh, that call couldn't have gotten any better until it does. Thank you, all you guys, for that. Verena, go ahead. Next.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I relate very much to your experience and effort and like this loneliness growing up. I'm also autistic and realized that a few years ago, and this like feeling like an alien, not ever fitting in, not ever feeling like belonging to your family, to the place around you, to like, and looking for that belonging. And somehow at some point like finding it in the stars, kind of, and the connections and the love, because it is so difficult to grow up in a world that is so used to limiting love when you have so much and when you're so connected to it. And I wasn't sure I was gonna come today because I have so much work to do and things that I want to get finished. But like it's so sweet because my inner being wants to be here, and like if just to take in the energy. And like I was sitting on my computer working, and then it was just like ding a ling a ling a ling a ling time, like time to come here, time to go here. And I was like, okay, well, I can continue to work and at least listen and stuff like that. But then, like you were bringing up the topics that I was feeling all week. And I think like there is a certain common energy that we have that brings us here and that brings us together. And it's so beautiful. And that's all I wanted to say. Like, I really appreciate this place and that we have this opportunity to come together. And it's so lovely to see all these, like, how everybody is experiencing their own version of the energies that are circulating Gaia, our universe, like, with all that is going on. And I feel like this love topic has been coming up so much. I don't know if you know the book Anna, Grandmother of Jesus. It's like a channeled message.
Oh, I have heard of that. Yeah.
It's really, really beautiful. And it's like especially nice to hear. Like Anna was 600 years old. She was a priestess, Egyptian priestess, initiated. She was a grandmother of Jesus. And how she saw the world change and how she birthed Mary as a light conception, how Mary received Jesus as a light conception, how Jesus was autistic, basically. Like in the book, it's described very well, like the flapping of the hands and the overpowering energy and the meltdowns and all the things that Jesus went through, basically to burst this love in the air. And so I think, like, especially as an autistic person, it's so nice to hear that description because it explains a lot of this like extra energy that we have in a way that is so hard to maintain in the body sometimes, and like to connect to that. But it's also like historically a super interesting like way to see how everything was connected and with the druids in England, and like it's just like a very beautiful book.
And
So
now you're writing your own book.
well, I've written a few, but
Well, it doesn't have to be physically, right? You're
but yeah.
writing your own story, and in the future, maybe you looked back on saying this was a transformational time on the planet, and Verena was part of it.
Yeah, we all are, no? Like it's beautiful and it's nice to remember how many people have been here before us who have contributed in their own ways to what we have now and
As
who
they say,
are,
we're all in it together.
yeah.
From a broader perspective, we're all streams off of the same ocean of consciousness, but here for our individual journeys. What a perfect place to be. I got, as soon as you start talking about that, Verena, I got the image of a huge tree with many thousands of branches, but still the same root.
Yeah.
That's kind of, every branch is unique and has its purpose, right? And its direction. And yet we all feed from the same source. Yeah. Perfectly articulated. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad you're here. There wouldn't be a group, guys, if it weren't for you. So I'm just a shepherd. You guys are the ones bringing this beautiful energy. Yeah, Peter, go right ahead, please.
Hi everyone. It's wonderful to be back. I missed the last one and I missed it dearly. Nefreed, I just wanted to echo a little bit of what you said. I'm a little bit older than you, I think, but I came to the firm realization that I've lived a life on the spectrum. I don't even like these words. I don't like words at all. I don't understand language because it's so misconstrued all the time, which is a little bit what I want to talk about. But yes, when I realized that, boy, all the dots connected, everything sort of fell into place. It was kind of life-changing for me.
How long ago was that, Peter, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I'm 58 now. It became a firm realization about 8 years ago when I was about 50. And of course, some people that know me dearly and have known me for a long time, they said, it took you a while to figure that one out. Like they knew.
Well, of course, it's easy to see from the outside.
Exactly, exactly. But I mean, everything, I just want to really touch on one thing. It's language and words and emotions uh and the realization of how do I put this into words? Words. This language is so hard, which is why telepathy and more emotional connection is so much more genuine, as I think we all know. But it's just the word, the emotions. I do not understand human emotions at all. Zero. I still don't, and I'm comfortable with that now. I've spent my whole life like masking, trying to emulate human emotions. And they're like, what, WTF is going on? None of this makes absolutely any sense. Why do people feel anger, hate, frustration? I understand it. I've dived deep into all the papers on trauma and why do people have trauma, what causes trauma. I understand that, but I just don't understand why people let their emotions get so heightened to the point of preventing them from feeling the core emotion. Because all these other emotions take them away from that core emotion, which many people call love. And I
Yeah,
just wanted to say from a personal perspective, I don't understand love. It's a word that is so, I understand it in our context in this group right here. Trust me, anyone here says love, I know exactly what you mean. But people use this word and it's got so many different connotations, and it rarely is the pure love. And so I don't even understand. The only emotion that I fully comprehend and I try to live my life by is compassion. That's the only one that makes any compassion all the way up and down to the soil microbes, the insects, the trees, all the way up to the largest species, the sky, the earth, the water. Compassion. That's the only emotion that makes that I understand.
and
And
maybe that's all that you need.
I think it is. And so that's kind of just how Nefrit, you're not alone. Your story is mine exactly. I'm not a human. I wake up every morning, I open up my eyes, and well, I had an NDE when I was a child, which is really the starting point for my life
Your death.
and my near death experience. So every morning I wake up and it's similar to my near death experience. I open up my eyes and I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. Well, let's do this. We're here and I'm here, and let's make the most of this. I don't know what
There you
it
go.
is. I don't know what I'm supposed to do today. Compassion. That's like
Well, what a great place to start. Doesn't that then sort of
yes.
lead you into compassionate activities?
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I wasn't going to, but it's just we were talking about preparation. Melissa, you were talking about how your meditation was sort of unprepared. It wasn't prepared, but it is prepared. You were preparing it, but it wasn't written down. And I'll just say that the older I get, and I think most of us will understand this. I rarely prepare for anything. Preparing stumbles me up when I've got a script or something that is dictated to myself. And the more I just let God guide me, just unfolds exactly as it's supposed to be, whether it's talking to people, presenting something, uh, navigating the life, the morning, the day with compassion. It's just, it just flows, and the flow cannot be scripted. The more people adhere to the script, I'll call it, whether it be a big life script, oh, I want to do this by this age, and all that kind of stuff, they're just setting themselves up for disappointment in a way because
Because
the
they're in the
flow.
future.
I'm sorry?
They're in the future in their mind instead of in the now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you described a lot of what I'm loving about not only this group but in general my own journey into the autistic realm, which has always been sort of outside of me until telepathy tapes and this group came along in January of this year. Is I'm a tech guy by trade, a designer, an engineer, a researcher, and so I'm feeling myself fully pulled into understanding as much as I can being more neurotypical. I might be a little bit autistic, I don't know, but I'm mostly neurotypical, understanding this, your perspective, which is noticeably different in some areas. It's very similar in many areas too, but in that the neurotypical lives a lot in metaphor and lives a lot in needing to adjust reality so we don't hurt other people's feelings, so that we're not attacked. And so the mind really gets warped away from this center of compassion and love. And I think it's one of many great benefits of being born on this so-called spectrum, whatever you want to call it, different brain wiring. And why more and more are being born on this spectrum is that you're born in a way that doesn't need this messy defense mechanism that kind of clouds reality. You're wired a lot more for, let's get right to truth.
Mm.
What's
There's a
what's
lot of defense mechanisms, though, being on the spectrum, trust me.
I'm sure you had to learn them because you're
Yeah,
still a minority.
it's a nonstop,
Yeah.
everyday
And
masking.
yet, isn't
Yeah,
that what brings us together? That we're all working through our learned traumas and defense mechanisms and so forth to find the path of truth within us back to what, as you were saying, that core of love and compassion and the
yeah,
knowing of who we really are. And that's what I think we're all here to teach. As we learn it within ourselves, then we become it
yeah.
and others notice. And that's why it only takes a few people out of almost 8 billion to make this shift in order for the whole planet to shift. True North is calling all of us because that's who we really are. We are non physical, pure love beings. And everybody has that within them. All you got to do is spark it a little bit here and there with a new awareness. And then their own system starts to take over at least a little bit. You are
Yeah,
more leading edge than you think you are, I think.
I know, I agree with you. I mean, I think one of the things that's it's an odd world to navigate in terms of communicating or communicating to begin with is a very odd world to navigate, period, at least for me. Words, I just come back to words, 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 words. It's a horrible place to be, but it's necessary for most people
For now.
because that's the world in which the neurotypical reside. They reside in words, the written word. Um, but written word, it has some benefit and it has a place to communicate, but it doesn't get it's not heartfelt and it's not fully understood. One can conceptually understand it in a metaphor, as you may say. Words are metaphors, words are symbols. But the only way that I've had any connection, success, again, it's a word, I hate all these words, but is
All right.
is just being and emanating. It's a little bit like last conversation in this group, Kevin, if you remember it, is the light, and just being the light. Don't don't speak, just be the light, be present. And oftentimes I find that less words or no words is more, again, all these words, impactful, wrong word, it's not
No,
the
it's
word I
you're
want,
doing fine. I think
but
we all understand
it
what you mean.
has more connection. the
Yeah.
less one speaks. But
Well, and what if that's the journey that we're all here to take, and you're
yes,
helping to teach that
yeah,
because
yeah,
you do it through art, through visual representation, right? And so you're communicating. Wouldn't you say every brush stroke, every movement through art is
yeah.
source guided?
Every photograph.
Yeah, photograph. That's right. I forget. You're a nature photographer. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
No, I did grow up arts related,
Yeah.
painting and all that, but yeah, no, I would do
So
photography.
you're showing us how to communicate. If somebody looks at your picture, they get the
Yes,
vibration that you were in when you took it.
and they connect to something that is around them. Yeah, but yeah, words. I long for the day. I mean, there's all sorts of things I read about NHI contact and future human species, and Bob Monroe's books about some foretelling of sorts. I long for the day where we no longer need to speak.
It's coming.
It's coming. Yes.
And in the meantime, have fun where you are. Right? That's for all of us.
I'll just finish it with my mantra, my personal mantra that I tell myself during the day, and I tell myself every morning when I awaken is be kind, be curious, be playful, be better. That
And you can't
that's
help but be better if you do those first three things.
and I just repeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Peter. Appreciate you
Nefri,
being here.
thank you. You're in the right place. Welcome. Yeah.
All right, Melissa, you're up next, and then maybe we'll get into our telepathic practice session, although it almost seems like we don't need it. But yeah, where'd you go, Melissa? You're gonna have to unmute yourself.
I said I feel all of it too. Kind of the same thing with Peter. Words are words, and Nefrit, yes, I've always felt like I've been off the charts my whole life. It's talked to animals since I was a known child, and I literally like I'm learning compassion, Peter. So I couldn't have compassion when I didn't know love, and so when you didn't receive love, and I felt like I was always love and wanted to give love and be love, and I think that was dimmed a lot from my parents. And so when you're not shown that, it's hard to be that also. And so the more we come into ourselves and learn and grow that muscle and do, um, I'm learning that compassion, like we are all just little kids running around, and looking for, you know, something that we didn't receive when we were a child, which makes us part of who we are as adults. And once we kind of come to that place and get out of our victimhood state, then we are able to go to the next level and have that compassion and love. And when we have it for ourselves, then it can ripple out to others. Because I feel my own self, if you don't have it for yourself, it's really hard to be that for another human. And like we're all here and we feel that feeling now of like I want to help somebody feel that feeling or teach or do, even my own self. And I get frustrated too because I have spent so much time, um, being up in the ethers, if you want to call it. And my cats have been the one that has guided me. And so I've come from a little different place, and talking to the trees. But my two cats, well, that I got the last 5 years, 6 years, are been my guiding force. And so if I just chose not to listen to them, I wouldn't be here right now with you guys because I would have thought I was even more nuts than I am, and I'm not. But you know, and thought, I'm going to listen to this cat tell me this stuff. You guys are nuts, and I did. And I just went with it no matter how, and to tell other people, yes, I'm a lonely person sometimes because in this group, it's great, but, and besides a few friends, but it's not the conversation at the dinner table. Usually is, hey, I sat and talked with my cat for 3 hours and had a really long session and I understand things so much more. Or from being on vacation, I talk to a pelican, or I usually talk to any animal because I feel they always have something to say. Or even if they don't say anything, they're just showing us something. Hey, Scott, too, all of us. Like the animals, I think Kevin, too, he's getting, the
Oh
animals
yeah.
come when they got something to say. and or not to say, but just mirror or that feeling or that energy they bring, or a tree, why aren't you talking to me? Because we think we're crazy, but really we're not the crazy ones. We are the ones that are here to teach the
The
rest.
connected ones.
We are the connected ones, and I have been that connected one, and I've downed, been criticized my own self. Again, that's that. Why do you feel that way? Why do you think this way? How do you connect with that? I don't really know my own self. I'm
Maybe you
learning,
don't need to know.
you know? And so it's just that same thing. I feel that all with all of us.
You're in the
We're
right
here
place.
for all of our own purpose and what we're uncovering as we're uncovering it. And we learn from each other every single time that we're on this call, a different feeling or a different sense, or just the feeling of us all being here together, that we all really do have that same feeling within each other.
Yes, exactly. The vibration doesn't lie, and we're together because we're sharing that vibration in this moment. So thanks for being part of this, Melissa, and leading us into this energy. All right, one more quick one, Suzanne, and then we'll get into our practice.
I would just happen to, well, I will say what I'm going to say, but Melody just wrote a really nice little thing to Peter, and I was kind of going to mirror that. So of course, law of attraction, working energy, like energy. I was thinking how much, Peter, you've said it so many times. Words, I just don't like words. And what's interesting for me is as I came into knowing that it's compassion is really one of my favorite words. I mean, if you can have compassion first for yourself, like lighten up in yourself, you're just fine. Everybody else might think you're not, but compassion to me is love. But I love words. I'm a writer. I love at this point in my life for the last, I don't know, 10 years at least, the things I write, they're high frequency words. I want to lift people up. I might say a little story of this doesn't feel good, and then I turn it and end it. This is how we feel good, love, compassion, thoughts that make us raise our frequency. And so, how lovely that all of us on this call, as much as words are difficult for us, we've all spoken from our hearts and feel one. This is the power of words too, even when you find it difficult, to accept all the words that other people are stuck in. That's what we get on here, not just to sit and look at each other, but we are talking with each other, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I think it illustrates the point that we're all wired differently.
Yeah.
And so there are things about art that I totally don't understand. Like I could stare at a piece of art and it goes right past me. And I'm also big into words myself. I've spent a lot of time writing and communicating through words. But there's also an evolution in me, which is that there's a part of me that wants to connect non-verbally as well. Just as you're saying, Peter, you're just maybe more wired for it than I am. So it's a more work for me to get to that point, letting go of that side. So it's good to accept who you are and where you're headed and not care a bit what other people think about it. Just honor it and just enjoy it and just love where you're at and enjoy the path for all of us. I think, and that's what's the most amazing thing about what we're doing, like in this group and elsewhere, is that we can have all these different perspectives and talents and abilities. And you guys are, I mean, you've all got different things than I do and are better at things than I am. And yet, by sharing them on this call, we get these perspectives, and so we can find our own path more solidly. What we don't want and what we do want. I think that's the magic of what we're doing here and on this life journey. Nefrit, is this something you can be really, really quick about? Because we're going to run out of time for our meditation practice.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I do love words as well. I mean, I think it's all just an instrument, a tool. We all have tools how to channel love into this existence because we're all, people kind of understand and soak up things in different ways. So there's art and there's music and then there's words and then there's dance and that's the beauty of it, that we all have different gifts that we channel through them, this beautiful message of love. And the way to find it is what really truly makes you happy inside. And that's your gift. And this is how you transfer love into this world. I love words. To me, it's like putting a puzzle together. I'm a writer too, but I'm also a musician, and I also talk to the trees. And it's a way, yeah, they're neurotypical people, they're neurodivergent, different wirings, and people read and people listen to music and people. So it's this whole big, beautiful mess that we're all kind of part of. So yeah, like photography, that's a love language. Words are love language. Everything can be a love language. So we just got to find your own love language. How
Yeah,
do
and
you
trust
transfer
it.
that?
Trust it,
Yeah.
not need to defend it, and just be it. I think that's the biggest message I get from, particularly from so many beautiful neurodiverse people like you guys, a number of you guys here, is that you're so wired for what you're good at and what you do and your connection that I feel that you amongst all of the planet are the ones who are pulling us more into that purity of who we individually are, and because you can't really be pushed off of that without a lot of suffering, whereas we're really good at suffering. Neurotypicals, we're really good at suffering and pushing ourselves off of our path, but you guys are so hardwired for that beautiful love channel. This is what I'm observing anyways, that I think you're here to teach us how to find that unique path, just like what you just said, Nafreet. So I appreciate you sharing that. And let's get into our telepathic practice. We'll just take a couple minutes to do this. We're already so wired right now that I think this isn't going to be. We won't have to take very long. So there's no real rules here. All we're going to do is do a quick little quiet meditation, and the point is only to relax and connect in. This is like what we've been talking about a lot here already on the call. Find what that feeling within the body, relax and open up into it. Presume that it's all going to work out. There's nothing to do, nothing to accomplish. We're not trying to be telepathic. We're just allowing ourselves to be more of our own unique selves. I do also suggest that maybe you have pen and paper or a place to take notes when you come out of the telepathic connection if you want to record anything. You can also pop things in the chat because sometimes they disappear quickly. I'll just do this for maybe we'll go 5 minutes or something so we have some time for the conversation afterwards. All right, so this is just about relaxing and allowing. No effort, no thinking required. Just sit back and relax, settle in. Close our eyes, breathe in, nice and long and slow. Kind of hold it for a sec and exhale. Letting go of any conversations in our head, any thoughts that are still rummaging around. We breathe in again. And as we exhale, we just feel ourselves completely relax and surrender into the natural flow that wants to come through our bodies from our higher perspective. And we find that natural flowing breathing rate. And as we drop in, we disconnect from any thoughts, disengage, just let the thoughts float by, and just find our way into our heart center, connecting into the earth while being completely open channel to broader consciousness, to our own higher mind, to the non-physical spiritual realm of pure love and pure light, and the open telepathic channels and frequencies which become available as we float up into this range. And from this perspective, we just open up, receive whatever maybe shows up on the horizon. Maybe we send out streams of consciousness to anyone we want to connect with. Or maybe we just sit here with no thought and just enjoy the energy, whatever feels right to you. And as my voice drops off for a few minutes, just sit in the energy and see what happens. Oh, I would love to stay in that frequency for the next 24 hours. Whew. It's time to come back into our physical bodies, into our human perspectives. And if you received or transmitted anything or want to note anything, take a moment to capture it, write it down, or put it in the chat window if you want. Love to hear. Every experience is valid. I can tell you, and I did write down an image if anybody tuned into me. I just got it the last minute. I felt the energy of a number of you guys on the call here. Definitely, your imagery was very, very profound to me. And then I felt myself receiving more downloads to share in maybe a future post. So I know you guys are all coordinating and sending that information. Keep what you give. Yes. Yes, Justine. I've heard that. You keep what you have by giving it away. So, experiences. Verena, go right ahead, please.
Just a very quick message I received.
Hmm.
This is a time to enjoy and to slowly forget the past and to rise together in love.
Wow. Well, it couldn't be more perfect and to the point.
Oh, just
Rise
wanted
together. Yes, thank you for sharing that, Verena. Rise together in love. Like that, it doesn't get more perfect than that. Now, Melissa, go ahead.
Well, this was pretty darn cool, I gotta say. You never know what's gonna show up, and all of a sudden, I'm like, really? Here comes this big mama elephant. And my cat Hendrix is riding on her, and I see like it comes out of this huge forest clearing, and she's like, "Hello, everybody, we're all here, we're all connected." And then all of us, everybody is on their own elephant behind. All of us like have our own elephant with the trunks intertwined. So now we're in a big, huge circle all together. And it was just this beautiful showing of all of us like on the same frequency of love and how we're all here to bring our separate gifts, but we're all still on the same frequency in this plane. And I don't know, I never really deal much with elephants, so it was pretty neat to see the elephant and then how we were all intertwined with our trunks
Wow.
together.
What a
So
perfect metaphor.
it was insane. I was just like, okay, I always say like, really, but I'm just like, I don't disbelieve anything anymore. So I was just like, okay, and here we all are, and I've seen this vision of myself before coming out on different animals with like a cloak and all of the headgear and all of that stuff and the clothing, but to see all of us have our own elephant in like the big mama, or it was Hendrix, so I guess I don't know, he keeps coming more and more into play, my cat.
He's a
So
leader.
he is, and he's been pissed at me for discrediting him and always giving Harley the 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 spotlight, and really it's him coming out more. And so yeah, but it was just really neat to see all of us with this our on our own elephant together, and just in this, again, don't discredit animals, how many messages they have for us.
Yeah, and you're tuned in so much. Thanks, Melissa. And I also see Melody wrote in here, the lights will guide us home and ignite us in our bones. Ooh, I love that. I believe it's the lyrics from a Coldplay song. Okay. The autists are the lights, and home is the connection to our hearts. Also, play is super important to the autists, like to rhyme, lights and ignite. Yes, I love that creativity. Again, one more of infinite expressions of our uniqueness.
I'll
And
say it super fast too, but I was like, why didn't I see the animals? And then I realized the bones because my dogs have been like very much like in my face like all morning and stuff. And I was like, oh, the bones. Haha, that's funny.
always playing with us, aren't they? Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love that. And I see Chrissy says, I saw a lot of water and animals surrounding me as I was in water. That was a beautiful moment. Felt so grounded. Yes. That seems to be a theme, right? Starting with the opening meditation is the water and the animals and the nature, certainly coming back around to remind us of the connection. Nefrit, what was your experience?
Yeah, I just found myself giving a flower, this yellow flower, um, to all of you. And then I saw the flower connect with light through all this network between everybody. And I had this sentence in my head, this is the great unfolding. And so I don't know, this is what I saw. It was a yellow flower, and yeah, and everybody was holding the flower, and there was this light, this kind of nexus of light between
Wow.
everybody.
I really, yeah, as soon as you described it, I really got that visual from you. And isn't that then saying different way of saying the theme that we're all getting here is the massive threads of connection that not only do we have, but we're now visualizing. We're now like it's starting to become apparent. And wow, I love that, Nafreet. Thank you for sharing that. What else? Masako says, I've really felt my heart expanding. Yeah, that's what I felt too, Masako. It was like I didn't want to leave the meditation. It just felt like there was so much still wanting to come through, and that's a message for me to spend more time in this state of mind and less time in my head during the day, so I can live from this perspective more. It's more. I think, particularly those of us who are not on the spectrum, I think there's more work in that area of getting to the connection and letting it be a natural part of life every day. Still uncomfortable sometimes. Wow. Lordy, lordy. Anyone else receive anything, experience anything before we wrap up our call for today? Not that we need anything more. It's just groundbreaking once again. Oh,
You're going to
man.
share your shape, I hope.
Oh, yeah. I don't, compared to what you guys are doing, that doesn't really matter. You see that? It's like three wavy lines. And I got that. I realize now from the water because in the first meditation, mine was, and in a previous meditation with Melissa, in a private thing, the imagery that I got was a two-story waterfall, a very narrow, kind of a personal waterfall, and then a pond, and then a flowing river. And I've always loved being by a flowing river or stream. And so that visual comes back, and that came to me in the meditation. So it's not surprising that I would get that as the visual. So thanks for sharing that, Scott. Did you pick up anything like that? I mean, you're obviously picking up a lot of stuff.
I picked up one portion of it, but not the whole, all three lines. So
Oh, interesting. The one line, yeah. That's what's part of the my interest in expanding my own journey here has been in uh, whatever techniques and methods I can find to open the channel, to relax and find ways for my brain to not get distracted and focus. And meditation's one, working with Melissa as a channel is another, listening to material. I just remembered I had Sarah Landon's book on called You Are the Channel, and she shares some techniques. And now I've gotten into Dahlia Burgoyne, who is the mind sight expert. If you guys have heard of her, I posted one of her videos a few days ago in the group, and she's incredible. She and her autistic daughter have the ability of mind sight and telepathy, where she can put a blindfold on and be given these kinds of little cards, and she can see them through the blindfold, and she can communicate these things. And it's a developed skill. Anybody can do this. It's part of the same journey. So I'm looking for trying all these different ways, and that's where this comes from. This is actually part of the cards that they use to practice mind sight. And so it's just another aspect of the same thing we're talking about here. Another interest that I have. So follow whatever lights up for you in the next now moment and see where that goes. And then follow the next one in the next now moment. And then follow the next one. And pretty soon you'll have a life that you love. I really appreciate you guys. Melody says, what's the best way to reach Melissa? I'll speak for Melissa because she's given me permission, which is Melissa either on Facebook and jump in otherwise, Melissa, or melissacorian.com. Right? And if anybody needs to reach somebody else, you can always connect to me through, I'm on Facebook and intuitivecoachkevin.com. And I'll connect you if I can with other people on the call. And then it'll be up to you guys to have the conversation. Did I get that right, Melissa? Okay.
Yes, yep, Messenger, Facebook, or and website, any email. I'm here, so
Or send her a telepathic message and Melissa will
yeah,
get
I
back to
was
you.
honestly I was doing that and I didn't say that, so I was specifically sending out a few, like saying anybody. I specifically took I hit no, I said Masako, Nefret, Peter, and Scott and Verena. I was like, can you guys hear me? I was just like when we were in our channel. So like I didn't ask, but I was just like, you never know because you might feel it and not go, hey, what was that lady doing? Or was somebody pinging me? I don't know. Because like I said, I do it so much in channeling or with animals, but to like connect and just say, hey, are we are we feeling each other? Or I
Yeah.
mean, we all in the frequency anyway, so we are feeling it. But like,
Well,
you
that
know,
brings up, so we don't have time now. Unfortunately, we ran out of time for Scott, but I would like, maybe Scott, you could post something around the work that you're doing and maybe bring it to the next, that what you're doing is exactly on par with what we're talking about. So it would be nice to kind of follow your exploration and the results that you're getting as well.
Yeah, we're putting together a public presentation to be presented in Austin, probably the second week of January.
Hmm.
And sometime after the new year, we'll actually be inviting more into our research group. We want to go through all the problems right now before we start bringing people in. Things like so this I'm wearing a heart sensor for one thing that's giving us biofeedback for part of it. It's part of it, and it's a long story, but we have found a way to connect physical, spiritual, and we're trying to create that doorway so that people can go through it, and which is where we should be all the time, actually. So that's what we're trying to develop. Um,
Okay.
so anyway, you will hear more about it at some point.
All right, we're counting on it. I'm glad
Yeah.
you could join us, that you could get through to a point and join us. Really appreciate that, Scott.
Yeah. Me too, Kevin. Thanks.
All
Thanks
right,
for this
guys.
help. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. This was fantastic as always. You guys brought such beautiful energy, and hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. Take this energy through your holiday with you and share it with as many people as you're inspired to. In the meantime, we will see you in a couple of weeks in the new year. Yay!
happy winter solstice tomorrow.
Yes. Yes. Happy winter solstice. Love all you guys. Namaste. See you next time. Bye for now.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.